Hey, welcome everybody to house groups, and a quick shout out to my friends in Bellflower. It was awesome to be at your house group last week. I am so grateful for you, although I'm still not over losing in knockout, all right? But I don't hold grudges, so I'll come back to get that W sometime soon, okay? So let's get started. Look, my family is about a month out from having a baby. I know it's very exciting. It's probably news to you because we never talk about it, okay? Kidding, we talk about it nonstop because we're excited. And I'm counting on you guys to babysit, all right? Well, some of you. Anyway, as I was writing this, I was sitting in a chair next to this big bookshelf that we have, and we've received like 17 million children's books and stories, it feels like, and I can't wait to read them to my daughter, and it's been interesting. Medical professionals have actually told me that I should start reading to her like when she's still in my wife's stomach, which is a little weird, and you read to them when they're babies and they can't even speak English, and the reason is because like stories are meaningful, right? They're powerful, and kids who won't sit still and can't speak English will actually sit down for a story to be read. It helps them in their development, and I love stories, whether movies, books, musicals, like no matter the platform, story is powerful. And the cool thing is we all have one. And that's what we're gonna talk about today. So I want you to turn to the person next to you in just a minute and answer this question. If you had to cast an actor or actress to play you in the story of your life, who would it be? Okay, shh, okay, come back to the screen, everybody. Thank you. All right, so everyone has a story. And today I want to look at a story from the book of Acts that I think we can all learn from. And we don't get the main character's name, but the author of Acts does tell us a few things about him. First, he was from Ethiopia, and he worked as a court official. Think of him as like a federal employee. And it's even so detailed to let us know that he was in charge of the money of the treasury for someone called Queen Candace of Ethiopia, which is a pretty sweet title, okay, who was the queen at the time. And most notably, you're gonna need to be mature here, everybody, okay, so listen in. Some of you will know what this is, some of you won't, but this is in the Bible, okay, this is in the text. This gentleman was a eunuch. Now, if you don't know what a eunuch is, you can ask your small group leader. Okay, kidding. So we got to think first century here. Okay, here's what this means. When the Bible refers to someone as a eunuch, it means that he was either born without fully present and functional male parts, or had them removed, and I know this is hardcore, for religious or vocational reasons. And I know that's a little hard to think about. And look, again, first century, right? We don't get a backstory here. We don't know what happened or why. We just know that like the fact that he was a eunuch, was a defining dynamic in his story. Because there were actually, again, first century different rules and expectations, like some really unfair rules for eunuchs. Okay, so here's what I hope we all can acknowledge today, all right? With that backstory, everyone you've ever met has a story. Every person on your team, in your school, people you walk by and you don't know, you see at the mall, you see at the lake, at the beach, everyone has a story. And in the chapters of that story, there are good moments and bad moments, and joy and pain and fun and apathy, and moments where they felt alone and others where they felt a part of something. And have you ever thought, really, like put time into this, thought about your story? Like if I asked you, hey, what's your story? What would you say? What makes you who you are? Have you ever thought about that? And to go a level further, have you ever wondered like if God cares about that story? You see, this Ethiopian man, the Ethiopian eunuch as the text refers to him, was actually on his way back from the temple. He was trying to connect with God. And God, this is so incredible, decides to intervene. So the text says, an angel of the Lord speaks to another character in the story named Philip, who didn't know our Ethiopian friend, to go and find him. and he tells Philip, go over and join his chariot. Go find him, which I think is super dope. I want a chariot. Today it'd be like, go over and open the door on his Honda, which is way less cool, all right? So I imagine Philip surprises this dude, swings open his chariot door, and the text tells us that he hears the Ethiopian man reading from scripture from the book of Isaiah, the same one we have. And Philip asks him, do you understand what you're reading? And I love the honesty here. He responds, how can I unless someone guides me? And in the story of our lives, we're gonna have questions. Everyone has questions, and especially about the things of God or faith. So if everyone has a story and everyone has questions, my question to you is, what are yours? And many times we think our questions disqualify us from knowing God or having a relationship with God. Like, I don't know enough, so there's no way that I can have a relationship. But that's not true about any other relationship in your life. For example, I love my wife desperately. She's the best. And yet there are things about her that I will never understand. Never. The mystery of her is something magnificent. Okay, think about like your favorite movies or TV shows. If you knew what was gonna happen at all times, it wouldn't be your favorite. You'd fall asleep. But yet we approach so much of our life and so much of our journey with God that way. Look, there's a mystery to this that is something to be embraced, not resented. And how cool is it that God sent Philip? He interrupted his life to go be a voice of reason and truth in this man's life who was not like him, who was not from the same place, had a different skin color, and yet God used him. And the scripture says, then Philip opened his mouth, and beginning with the scripture, he told him the good news about Jesus. Students, never let your questions about God disqualify you from your search of God. It's the search that refines you into the person that you're called to be. It's the journey to be embraced. And you're gonna need people, we all do, like Philip on that journey that can listen, can explain, and point towards truth. And we're willing and ready to be a sounding board for you, to share with you what we believe, to try our best to give answers when you have questions. And when we don't, and there are things we're not gonna know, we will commit to searching for them with you. And your small group leader and the students in your small group can be a tremendous asset to you and be pillars of consistency and positivity in the story of your life. Okay, so the last little bit of this story, the final chapter, right? Every good movie, every great book, every memorable sports game or award-winning theatrical production has a defining moment. It's romanticized and talked about and remembered forever, and it was about to happen for the Ethiopian man. You see, we don't know everything about him. We don't even know his name. We just know he was on a search. They didn't have planes, so to get from Ethiopia to the desert, this took place outside Jerusalem. You had to be traveling on purpose, and this man was on a search for God. And look, I haven't been around that long. I'm only 27, but here's what I believe, and maybe you disagree with this, that's okay, we can still be friends. Everyone I've ever met has a longing deep down inside to know God. And I don't mean everyone is religious or even spiritual, whatever that means anymore. But what I've learned is that there's a God-sized hole in our hearts, and we try to fill it with anything. I mean, we see it all the time. The desire for fame or to be liked, to be successful, the journey to self-fulfillment. That's really popular right now, okay? It's the search for purpose, for meaning, for longing. And in each of our stories, we have a defining moment where a light bulb goes on, where we make a decision that changes everything. And that was about to happen for our friend. You see, after Philip told him the good news about Jesus, he wanted to go all in. And he does something crazy. It says this, and as they were going along the road, they came to some water, and the eunuch said, see, here is water. What prevents me from being baptized? And he commanded the chariot to stop, and they both went down into the water, and Philip and the eunuch, and he baptized him. It was a defining moment in the story of his life, where he decided he goes all in, he doesn't hold back anymore, and it was a decision that changed his now, but more importantly, his forever. Look, I don't know if you think what I said today was compelling, or to put it nicely, yeah, no thanks. But here's the good news. The focus is less on what I say and more on what you do with what I say. What you do when you encounter the words of God. You see, when our friend encountered the news of Jesus, the story of his life, he made a decision. And as honest as I could get with you right now, kind of how the Ethiopian eunuch said, what's stopping me from getting baptized? What's stopping you? What's stopping you from saying yes? Or what's stopping you from taking your next step, whatever that is? Maybe like we talked about, it's a particular moment that you're not proud of, or that was painful, or a big question you feel like it's just too dang big to overcome. And what I want to leave you with is really simple, right? We've been talking about how God is actually for us. If God is for us, who can be against us? And I want you to know that's not just for today, that's forever. So to wrap up this series, For the Culture, the tagline is real simple. It's for the culture, forever. If you believe that, I want you to do something about it. I want you to make a decision today that changes your forever. And here's what I love about this. I'm not gonna have you close your eyes and raise your hand. Nobody in your house group is gonna say, look, there's a pool, and throw you in there to baptize you if you don't want to. All right, look, tonight in group, I want you to look at some of the chapters of your story. Good moments, hard moments, big questions, defining moments. And maybe, just maybe, you'll decide like our friend from the story that you want the future chapters in your story to be with God. So be bold and know that this community supports you. No one is gonna pressure you, okay? And we want this place to continue to be a spot where you can process and talk and learn about the things of God. And maybe tonight you'll decide to start asking more questions, to actually talk in small group. Wouldn't that be amazing? So your leader is just gonna ask a few questions, and they may even have a couple things that could be great next steps for you spiritually. And again, there's no pressure. But what if you decided something that changed your forever, knowing God was for you? So it's your turn. And in love, what are you gonna do about it?